at the 15. He's on his feet. 10, 5, touchdown.
The Jake Nulph Show.
Go Burrow.
Welcome to another edition of the Jake Nulph Show. We're live here at Charlie's Pub and Eatery, Route 99, just past the lake here in Edinboro. And, of course, our first time here, first of many, Coach.
Yeah.
We're excited to be back. I'm excited for dinner. I wish we would eat and then do the show, but we don't. So we're going to try to move this thing along. Tough one, obviously. But let's get to it, all right?
Yeah.
We know that there's no moral victories. But I think resiliency can be the buzzword.
Yeah.
Second play of the game, well, the first play of the game, you turn it
after
over.
the kickoff, yeah.
Second play of the game, they score. The mindset is, oh no. Now that, again, the outcome be damned, what does it say to you about this particular football team that it's 10-6 at halftime after that first 90 seconds of football?
Yeah, I mean, the start was as bad as you could draw up. I think emotion had a lot to do with it. If you talk to Holst and Ike about the snap, it's just unfortunate, and the bounce, of course, falls right in their defender's lap. And then, as you mentioned, 2 plays later, they're up 7-0. So the answer was impressive because, we got a decent kick return. And then offensively, we drove it to midfield. So it wasn't like we went 3 and out and it was doom and gloom. The very first offensive play that we ran after that was a 9-yard run by Jerry Dinkins. We had a nice 13-yard pass to Nico, started rolling, and then we got to midfield and we dialed up the fake punt, and the fake punt worked to perfection. Reed it threw a really nice ball to Clayton Beazon, the freshman tight end. And, I look at that, and we're going to use the resiliency factor of it and the toughness. We started that series. We went for 1, but then we got a holding call in 2nd and 19, which really stalled that, and we ended up kicking the field goal. And in opening ball games, we talk about not beating ourselves, pre-snap penalties, post-snap penalties, and each team only had 3 penalties. So from that standpoint, it was relatively clean. But that holding call could have been the difference in 7 and not 3. But, I liked our response there. And the theme of it was, Joe, when you go back and you look at the game, right? And there's a half dozen to a dozen plays. We talk about it every week. But, I think that their ability to have big runs and big plays, and then our inability to kind of get those chunk plays, was really the deciding factor, with the exception of the turnovers that put us – ultimately we were -3 in the turnover battle. And, 2 of them resulted in East Stroudsburg starting the drive inside of our own red zone. So, there's some tails within the tape. But, even like you mentioned, 10-6 at the half. And it easily could have been 10-10 or, we could have had a lead at that point. But we didn't quit. And the couple of the outlying things there, Joe, that, for everybody that watched the football game and, just for trying to articulate to people that maybe weren't there, is, 2 of our scoring drives were 13-play drive and a 15-play drive. I felt like we moved the ball, we just weren't able to punch it in the end zone. And then defensively, like I said, the chunk play hurt us, but we did some really good things on defense. We did some really good things on offense. We did some really good things on special teams. It's just when you play a caliber football team like in East Stroudsburg, who had 16 to 22 starters back from a season ago, you mentioned the moral victory, and nobody wants to hear that, and that's certainly not something that was articulated to our football team. But you're not going to win a football game like that against an opponent like that when you self-inflict and go -3 in the turnovers.
In the lead-up in my radio show, we talked about in perception. Perception was the buzzword. What's the perception if USC beats LSU? What's the perception? So I asked the question afterwards to actually Craig, what is the perception at 24-12? Okay, again, you were a football team that was young, banged up last year, missing a lot of pieces. There was a lot of things that didn't go your way. A 9-3 football team, 16 to 22 starters. What's the perception now of your football team that you saw, knock on wood, for the most part healthy? You got 1 game in the books. Obviously, Robert Morris up next. Not any easier. Kutztown to follow. But a 2-possession game against a 9-3 playoff team that returned virtually everyone.
Yeah, and that's the thing where whatever the perception may be, ultimately we're 0-1, okay? And it was a week 0 football game, a game against, East Stroudsburg that we wanted. Coach Jimmy and I had conversations about it, and congratulations to him and his staff. I thought they did a great job, and that is a good football team. But we have to take advantage of opportunities when that presents itself. And it's the first game of the season. We have to get significantly better from week 1 to week 2. And the thing that I liked about our football team was that resiliency, but that was a physical football game in all phases.
For sure.
They're a physical outfit. We pride ourselves on being a physical outfit. And, there was a lot of football plays out there from both teams that, as a fan, I guess you would say, it was probably entertaining to watch. I think that guys that, for example, Wilfredo Diaz, who you're going to bring up here in a little bit, was PSAC West Defensive Player of the Week. He had 22 tackles. He was all over the field. And the things that people aren't going to see on the stat sheet is he was some of those tackles were on special teams too. He's covering kicks. He's on punt return. We ask him to do a lot of things, as we do a lot of our players, and they answered the bell. So, Jerry Dinkins, a guy that had 115 all-purpose yards, his first career start, I thought, played an exceptional football game, and, not just the run game and the pass game as well. And there were a lot of other guys that way, but those two guys stand out. We're going to continue to do this. We're going to continue to play football games here this season, and I'm excited about the opportunity to see our football team grow and get better, because there were a lot of plays we left out there, but there are also a lot of plays that we made out there. I look at that, just thinking in the first half, Joe, and they popped 2 long runs.
39 and 23, I believe.
Yeah. And they go up and it's 10-3. We answer with a 13-play drive. And I think of the guys, Jeremiah Neely's a freshman tight end that we've had conversations.
Back-to-back
catches in that drive. We have a 3rd and short play dialed up. We run a naked, and Clayton Bison makes a great catch, moves the sticks there. There were just a lot of guys that made some plays that we're excited to continue to see develop and grow on the offensive side, and then defensively as well. I mean, I look at a guy like CJ, who was an all-conference player, Zach Malpica, who was our Mike linebacker last year, but we've moved him into more of a hybrid role where he's making some football plays there. We have a lot of guys, Toby Klein, I could go on. And the thing is, for us in week 1 to week 2, our quote-unquote, our guys need to make more splash plays, right? And we need to hit the big play on offense. We need to make the negative play on defense. We need to, we had the fake punt. And Reed Martin, who I would, you can say it, I won't. I mean, when you average almost 52 yards a kick, when you're kicking the ball, what I don't know what his kickoff average was, and then the fake punt. All of those things we ask Reed to do. These are guys that we're going to need moving forward to continue to be leaders and playmakers on our football team, because that's what it's going to take to win.
A couple of quick hitting notes here just before we wrap this up. We always play glass half full, glass half empty. You bat 7-15 on 3rd down, you're going to win a lot of games. Yeah. You give up 6-12 on 3rd down, that's not really a recipe to win a lot of games. What, in particular, about 3rd down? I mean, that was, when you think about it, that's pretty good. 13 and 27 combined. Maybe not for the defensive coordinators, right. But what did you do differently? 7-15. That's might have been your highest highest percentage last year in any game.
No.
What was special about 3rd down?
Well, I think we were in 3rd manageables, Joe. That's the biggest thing, is we didn't put ourselves behind the sticks. I thought the offense gave themselves an opportunity to convert on 3rd down. And whenever you're 3rd and medium and 3rd and short, the percentages go up. And then I would say defensively, it seemed to be just the critical moments. Now, I will say this, start the second half, they had a long run, et cetera. But we get them into a 3rd and 6 situation where they throw a 50-50 ball and I'm not sure which receiver it was of theirs, but he goes up and makes a spectacular catch where it was really good coverage by Logan Dexter, and they just made a couple plays in those situations where we just didn't, So we're going to continue to practice that. I'm sure when Wilfredo comes up here and talks to you how much we practice third down and red zone, because those are critical areas in football, and we have to continue to build. I mean, that's the biggest thing I can say, Joe, in Fighting Scott Nation is, yes, there were a lot of good things. Unfortunately, we didn't win the football game. But as we continue to play, we're going to continue to get better. We're going to coach our butts off. We had a great practice for Tuesday, which I was really excited about today. And we got a huge opportunity coming up at FCS Robert Morris. So.
All right, we're at Charlie's Pub and Eatery, Route 99, just past the lake here in the borough. We're here each and every Monday, today Tuesday.
Thanks, Bill.
But certainly some flexibility, the holiday and whatnot, but we appreciate you being with us. The aforementioned Wilfredo Diaz, the PSAC Defensive Player of the Week, will join us next here on the Jake Nulph Show. We're live from Charlie's Pub and Eatery, Route 99, just past the lake here in the borough.
At the 15, he's on his feet, 10, 5, touchdown!
The Jake Nulph Show.
Go Burrow.
Welcome back to the Jake Nulph Show. We're live here at Charlie's Pub and Eatery. Thanks for everybody stopping down. Of course, Wilfredo Diaz, the Defensive Player of the Week, a Florida boy, redshirt sophomore, 22 tackles. That's tough for the opener. You're on pace for 242 tackles this year, as long as you maintain the 22 tackles a game average. I knew I called your name a lot. I was a little bit surprised when I saw the number 22. Were you surprised when you saw the number 22?
I mean, I was surprised. I wasn't really paying attention to, my name, really. I was just playing, so, yeah, I was kind of surprised.
Now, I wanted to ask, we alluded to it, and to start the way that you guys started, and we were talking about it, Trey Staunch and I were talking about it at halftime, 10-6 after that first play. If somebody would have said, it's going to be 10-6 at halftime and you can just fast forward to that, yeah, sign me up. What was it like? Defensively, you really had to tighten things up and rally. What were the conversations like, immediately following? Obviously the offense had their miscue. You guys get beat on the second play of the game. What was the conversation like on the defensive side of the ball? Like, okay, we got to figure this out because we could be in for a long night, and certainly you guys made the adjustments.
Things happen. Turnovers happen, and it is what it is. But we're always told to defend grass, and that's just what we do. I mean, and we adjust to everybody. We just have to run around and do our job, and we can beat anyone, we think.
Now, I know that Coach Papley, because I talked to him after the game, he was not interested in hearing it, and you can't really do it. But if you could extrapolate the two short fields and then that window about the middle of the third quarter where it felt like you guys fell asleep, I don't really think there's anything to complain about. I mean, but again, you got to play all 60 minutes. They're all equal. If you could take away about 7 minutes, defensively, you guys played a really, really good football game.
Yeah, I mean, we had a lot of missed tackles, which is what, at the end of the day, killed us. But, I mean, I think we have the best defense in the PSAC if we do what we have to do, honestly. We have a lot of playmakers, but we just have to get in the right positions and make the right plays at the right time.
Now, you were one of the guys. You only played 3 games last year. You were one of the guys two, excuse me. You were one of the guys that gave a youngster an opportunity out of necessity. Tristan Waldier, you don't get hurt. We don't know anything about Tristan. There's a lot of guys on that side of the ball that got a lot of run last year because of injuries. Now you've got, 5 linebackers to rotate, as many as probably 10 D linemen to rotate. The back end's got as many, 3 safeties. You could play 2. So you can, how many corners? So as hard as last year was, there's got to be a lot of confidence now that there's a lot of guys that have played a lot of snaps, a lot of meaningful snaps, and the rotation, there shouldn't be a drop-off when you make any of the package changes.
Yeah, I mean, we kind of taken pride in that this year. We know we have depth. I mean, we're obviously trying to get the best 11 on the field at all times, but we know we have depth, and if somebody does, God forbid, get hurt, then it should be a real good flow.
I got to add, again, you had a pretty serious injury last year. What's it like to sit there and not be able to play? I mean, I can't imagine that it's fun, but, now now that you've had that behind you and it's August and 9 million degrees and you're sweating your tail off and it's the 100th meeting in a row, did you have a different perspective post-injury on the game and your time here versus beforehand?
Honestly, no. I mean, I've always appreciated what I get to do. I mean, I shouldn't even be here, really. Like, I had no offers coming out of high school, so I got lucky that Nulph gave me an opportunity. So I take every day as well as I can, you know.
I mean, that's, it's interesting because I think as you get older, you realize like how time sort of slips through your hand. And I was just wondering what the mindset is like as you sit there and and of course you got hurt early. I mean, you knew it was going to be weeks and months of just sitting there watching. I was just kind of wondering what that mindset was like.
I was just thinking everything happens for a reason. If I didn't break my leg then, I maybe would have died. Who knows? I just think the best thing I can think, you know.
Wilfredo Diaz, the Defensive Player of the Week, monster game. I'm always curious anytime somebody comes from Miami, South Florida, to a place that's like Edinboro. You mentioned Coach Nulph was one of the few guys, or the only guy that offered you. What were the sort of trepidations like? That's a big life change, or was it pretty simple because you just wanted to play ball?
Yeah, I mean, I just came at first. I'm not gonna lie, I was miserable. I mean, it's a completely different world, basically. If you've ever been to Miami, it's a different world. So coming here was a pretty hard adjustment, but I got used to it in maybe a semester, and now I love it here, and I just want to win.
What was back to ball? Again, this is a defense that has some expectation. You've got all PSAC players everywhere. You finally have a multitude of guys in front of you that are going to be fresh and give you free run at things. Coach Papley has a lot of different looks, but you're on the field for most of them. In terms of the learning and I know everything's adjusting. What's it like for a guy that plays as many snaps as you do, and all the way special teams, because Coach Nulph likes you to play special teams as well. In terms of preparation and throughout the week, when new things, how much extra film study is on your shoulders because of how many snaps that you play each and every week?
I'm going to be honest with you. I'm not a big film guy. I'm more of a do it in person, I learn from doing the plays and things like that. So I don't watch an excessive amount of film, but I lock in whenever we're in person. I don't mess around,
Fredo Diaz got Robert Morris next week. Congratulations, my man. Thanks so much, and continued success. I mean, I don't think 22 tackles a game is an unrealistic expectation. I think you can do it.
I'm going to try.
Fredo Diaz hanging out with us at the Jake Nulph Show. We're live at Charlie's Pub and Eatery. We're going to turn the page to the Colonials when we come back. More right here at Charlie's Pub and Eatery, Route 99, just past the lake in Edinboro.
At the 15, he's on his feet. 10, 5, touchdown!
More at the Jake Nulph Show.
Go Burrow.
Welcome back here to Charlie's Pub and Eatery, Route 99, just past the lake. People are getting food. I'm still hungry, but we got one more segment to do here on the Jake Nulph Show. Obviously, Saturday is going to be, I don't know, what adjective? Weird? Ironic? What's going to be? This is your alma mater? This is where you played? What's that going to be like? Have you thought about it yet?
I have, and it's not my first trip back to the moon. So remember when I was at St. Francis,
but
we would play.
That wasn't your football team.
Yeah, that's a good point. Okay, so I get what you're saying there. I'm really looking forward to it. I mean, this was the very first game that I scheduled as head football coach here at Edinboro. I'm a proud Robert Morris alum. I think people know that about me. I wouldn't be in the situation that I'm in right now without my student-athlete experience at Robert Morris. I was so fortunate to learn from two football icons in Joe Walton and Dan Radakovich. And, I mean, whenever you have the stadium named after you, Joe, it's kind of a big deal. And, I learned a lot of football from Joe Walton and Dan Radakovich. And, unfortunately, both of them have passed on. Bad Rad passed away literally weeks after I got named as the head coach here at Edinboro in 2020, and then Coach Walton the following summer in 2021. So it's going to be bittersweet for me from that standpoint. I'm going to do a lot of reminiscing. I've already had former teammates of mine blowing me up, talking a little trash, which I certainly appreciate. But it's a football game. When it comes down to it, I got a ton of respect for them and Coach Clark and how he's been able to do things and the culture that he's built at Robert Morris. And, when it's kickoff at 6 p.m., it'll be a business thing, in pregame and the socializing part of it, it'll be fun. And my family will certainly be there. But, at 6 p.m., look, we've got a really good football team we're going to play in Robert Morris. Dare I may say this, the most talented Colonial team I've seen since 2010, and that was a team that almost shocked North Dakota State in the first round of the FCS playoffs when they made their first national championship run. So they are extremely physical. They run the football as well as I've seen. That's what their offense is going to do. They're going to come out in 12 and 21 personnel and try to jam it on us. And then, they've got these. They have 2, 3, 4. I don't know how many tight ends, Joe. They're extremely dangerous at that position. They've got running backs out the wazoo, skill guys, you name it. This is a deep football team. And then defensively, I know everybody has seen the interception that's gone viral with Carter, and it starts in the back end and it goes all the way to the front. They had Utah State, FBS, Mountain West, with a lead into that third quarter, and if they don't get big played to death, that's a different football game.
Well, we were talking about third down in the last segment.
Yeah.
They held Utah State to 4-13 on third down, and they were 7 of 18 on third down. So that's money plays there. That's big time.
I know you value yourself as an NCAA college football gamer. I had to go to Coach Weave on our staff. Utah State had this receiver, number 23, who was electric. 2 really long touchdown runs. And his speed in the game, I guess, is 91. It may go up after week one's performance. But that was the unfortunate thing for RMU is they just got big played to death in the second half, whether it was the quarterback who had a plus 60-yard run or, a couple of the receivers. But the score is no indication of how that game was played. They went out west and really put a performance on. We talked about how much better we're going to have to be from week 1 to week 2 going down to Moon Township here on Saturday night. This is a really good football team, and, preseason, all of the NEC accolades that they were receiving, it looks like were well-deserved.
And of course, last year you were, one of 8 teams in Division II that did, in fact, play an FCS opponent.
Yeah, and that's what we do here, Joe. That's the nice thing when I look at this as this program and our goals and our expectations. It's really easy to schedule a Division II opponent, Joe, and look at wins and losses. But what we want to do here, and, we played Duquesne in the opener last year, and the score was the score. But I can tell you this. We took the defending Super Region 1 champion Shepherd to a one-possession game, and that Duquesne game got us ready for the Shepherd game.
Well, I wanted to ask you that. This is sort of a carryover from the previous segment. Everybody knows the most improvement comes from week 1 to week 2. Does that vision get a little cloudier, going from a Division II playoff team to an FCS caliber playoff team? Yeah. Are you going to still be able to evaluate and see the wins from week 1 to week 2, despite what the scoreboard may or may not say? Because the blocks, we always talk about building the program. Yeah. You've had you had the lights on Thursday night. Now you've had X amount of days in between, and then you're going to get the chance to evaluate again against, let's be honest, a more difficult opponent who just took a very good Utah State team down to the wire.
Absolutely, and again, that's what we want. In order to win the PSAC, we know this. You're a PSAC historian. I rely on you a lot for your PSAC knowledge, Joe. This is a tough league, and you're going to play 3 to 4 top 25 teams every year. And in order to be the best, you have to beat the best. So when I coached at St. Francis and the Duquesnes and the Robert Morrises, et cetera, we played up, right? That's what you do in the non-conference. You play up in order to win the league. And that's exactly the mantra and the mentality that I brought to Edinboro. So we're playing up with the goal to win the PSAC. So, yes, we got a Robert Morris team on Saturday and whatever. But ultimately, who we have coming down the pipe in week 3, and it's Super Region 1 winner Kutztown, right?
Yeah, certainly. The schedule maker, not kind. And then, you figure and you're part of the reason we should be blaming. But, to go East Stroudsburg, FCS, Kutztown, Bloomsburg, Slippery Rock, IUP.
Yeah.
There are no days off.
And we talk about that, I swear, for the last 3 years, Joe, since we've been doing the show, that's part of the reason that this job attracted me to it. And now in year 4, we want to play the best. And our guys come here to play the best. And, we get an opportunity to compete against the best in Division II. Week in and week out, and we're certainly going to have an opportunity to compete against a really good Robert Morris football team Saturday night at their place in a night game. It's supposed to be standing room only capacity. We're excited about this opportunity. You mentioned the week 1 to week 2. We're going to get better. We have to get better. That's where we're going to show improvement. And I can think of no better way than to go down to my alma mater on Saturday night. Let's rip it. Let's put the ball down and let's play football.
Of course, we got to give the people what they want. Everyone's favorite game in America. 2 reasons you win and 2 reasons you lose.
Well, I'd probably hit the repeat button from week 1, but, turnovers is going to be a huge thing in these football games. And when you go -3 with a 14-point swing, that was certainly one of the reasons. It wasn't the main, but it was one of the reasons why we didn't beat East Stroudsburg. So we got to take care of the football. And the other thing is, too, we got to take it away. Yeah, we gave it away 3 times, but we didn't take it away either. And we've got to be able to be opportunistic on the defensive side of the football and create some turnovers. And then I look at the red zone. You had brought up the 3rd down stat, but in the red zone, we were 2 for 2 as an offense. It was 1 touchdown, 1 field goal. Well, East Stroudsburg was 4 for 4 in the red zone, and they had 3 touchdowns and 1 field goal. And the goal was always to be 75% touchdown to field goal in the red zone. That's winning football. And East Stroudsburg did that on Thursday night, and we did not. So we have to be stingy in that red area and hold teams to field goals. And then when we get down there, we've got to score 3 of 4 touchdowns.
So, Bobby Moe, 6 o'clock Saturday night. Airtime on the Fighting Scots Radio Network will be 5 o'clock. Fighting Scots Radio Network presented by ErieInjury.com. We will be in Coriopolis and looking forward to that ride. Coach, I got to give you your adieu as you like to make your final farewell to the fans as we get ready for the Colonials.
Go Burrow.
All right, I want to thank all of our sponsors here on the Fighting Scots Radio Network. Fish USA, Walker Brothers Chevrolet, Folkrod & Associates, Meadville Medical Center, Charlie's Pub and Eatery, Hamilton Insurance Agency, Ergo Audio, Fat Willie's, American Overhead Doors, Lincoln Foundry, Hobbs Do It Center, Willow Creek Barnwood Furniture, and, of course, ErieInjury.com. Thanks to everybody here at Charlie's that came out for the Jake Nulph Show. We'll be back Monday next week, back on the regular schedule. For everybody at Edinburgh and, of course, for Coach Nulph, I'm Joe Lodanosky. Thanks for hanging out, and we'll do it again next week.
At the 15, he's on his feet, 10, 5, touchdown!
The Jake Nulph Show.
Go Burrow.